What if I told you that Lewis Hamilton is convinced that Ferrari will be the team to beat in Silverstone? What has seen the 7-time champion to make such a statement? And why should you take it seriously? Lewis Hamilton does not make empty statements. The British knows how to read a car, a track, and a team like few in the history of this sport. Therefore, his words in the prelude to the Great Britain Prize lit the alarms. Ferrari has a career rhythm, he said, and said it with conviction. But what has really changed for a pilot like him to meticulous, demanding, and skeptical by nature to trust a historically unstable team? Vasseur summed it up in a revealing phrase: "It was probably our best Friday since the beginning of the season." A statement that might seem anecdotal, but that charges another dimension when Ferrari's recent history is analyzed. In previous years, on Fridays they were chaotic. The car responded unpredictably, career simulations did not match reality, and the pilots went on track with uncertainty. Today, on the other hand, engineers know what to expect. The adjustments generate predictable responses, and the data obtained in simulators are translated loyalty to the track. That is the real change. Ferrari is no longer a team that reacts to problems. It is a team that anticipates them. And that, in Formula One, is a huge qualitative leap. It is not just about introducing new pieces, but about doing it within a coherent development philosophy. In this new approach, each improvement is intended as one more piece of a major puzzle, where the goal is not only to win a race, but to build a winning platform for the entire championship. With this context, Hamilton's words are not only understood, they are justified. It is not a matter of blind optimism, but of technical evidence, of measurable evolution, of trust based on tangible results. Silverstone does not come as an isolated opportunity for Ferrari, but as the next logical step of a constant progression. And that, coming from a team that for years has lived trapped between unfulfilled promises and erratic developments, represents a radical turn. Hamilton has seen it, he has felt it in his skin, and that is why he does not hesitate to bet on his team. So why do Hamilton see Ferrari as a real contender in Silverstone? The answer is in the details, in those technical signals that only a pilot with his experience is able to decipher from the cabin. Silverstone is not any circuit. It is one of the most complete paths of the calendar, an absolute test for any car. The combination of high-speed curves such as Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, next to intense braking areas and long straight, demands a perfect balance between aerodynamic load, efficiency and traction. It is a place where weak points cannot be hidden. The key is how SF-25 responds in those critical areas. Hamilton has been a direct witness to the behavior of the car in simulations, training in long batches. One of the most revealing aspects for him has been the stability of the car in rapid curves, especially among curves 10 to 12. There, Ferrari has achieved a substantial improvement in the passage through curve, with a platform that not only generates aerodynamic load, but does so progressively and stable. This translates into trust, and that trust is what allows pilots as Charles Leclerc and now Hamilton attacks without reservations. This predictable aerodynamic behavior is due in large part to the thorough work in the balance of suspensions and the flow under the car generated by the new soil introduced weeks before. But there is also a crucial improvement in the way the car transfers the weight into rapid changes, a detail that can only be noticed from the pilot's seat. Hamilton has noticed that the car does not lose the rear in rapid transitions, that the rear wheels are not suddenly discharged in full support, and that allows the accelerator to be applied before at the curve outlet without compromising stability. In addition, Hamilton does not trust the time. He has interpreted the language of the car. The adjustment level now has the SF-25 in each parameter from the differential to the curve mapping has given him freedom to experience, adapt and squeeze its piloting style. For the first time since Ferrari joined, he feels that he is not fighting against the car but working in tune with him. Even in career configuration simulations with high fuel load, communication between the front and rear axle remains intact, which allows to stop later and maintain the trajectory without losing traction. This is not only important for the classification, where Ferrari has already shown to have a rhythm of a return. It is especially for the race, because the race is earned not only for being the fastest, but for being the most constant, the most efficient, which manages to make each component work to the maximum for 50 laps or more. Hamilton has lived again and again in his career. And when he feels that the car responds, that there are no surprises, that what he asks translates into action, then he knows he can win. Ferrari has ceased to be unpredictable. It has ceased to be that team that began every weekend from scratch. And that, for a pilot like Hamilton, changes everything. Its reading is not a product of a heart, but of a deep understanding of the behavior of the car. It is a certainty built on data, sensations, and pure experience. That is why he speaks with such security. Because he has seen it, he has lived it. And because he knows that in Silverstone, with that car, he can fight again for victory. With this favorable technical panorama, the strategic implications for Ferrari in the Great Prize of Great Britain go far beyond a simple possibility of podium. Actually, we are facing a real opportunity to reconfigure the championship hierarchy in a circuit where it is traditionally defined who is really prepared to fight for the title. Silverstone, more than any other track, punishes improvisation and rewards technical coherence. And Ferrari, after years of ups and downs, finally seems to have found that coherence. The first thing to understand is that Silverstone, due to its design, does not allow conservative career strategies. Large high-speed areas generate huge thermal stress on tires, particularly on the front axle. Teams that cannot maintain fast curve stability or suffer from constant survival will see how their front tires degrade in a few laps. On the other hand, Ferrari arrives with a solid aerodynamic base that, combined with an efficient equilibrium of axes, allows them to extend their steins without falling into the trap of early degradation. This management capacity gives them a critical strategic margin. They can anticipate with aggressive undercuts or prolong their stop window to capitalize a possible safety car or meteorological changes. In addition, the structure of the Silverstone race favors those who can maintain constant pace even in traffic. In previous years, the SF-25 suffered to follow cars ahead due to dirty air and a little adaptable platform in terms of aerodynamic balance. But the SF-25 has shown that it can roll in traffic without wasting so much time, thanks to the new flat background design and much more linear behavior at the entrance and exit of curve. This opens a range of tactical possibilities for Hamilton and Leclerc. They can choose to divide strategies to press rivals from different fronts, with one of the two acting as a spearhead and the other managing an alternative strategy that can bear long-term fruits. Another crucial factor is the work of career engineers. With the new stability offered by the car, the precision in the simulations has increased, and that means that Ferrari can trust predictive models to execute decisions in real time. The team can now adjust the return-to-return strategy with less margin of error, something that in previous seasons was almost unthinkable. This also allows them to react faster to the movements of their main competitors, McLaren, Mercedes, and Red Bull. If one of these teams opts for an early stop to cover yourself, Ferrari can choose if you respond immediately or if your stint extends, knowing that your rhythm will not fall dramatically. In a tight career scenario, this flexibility can make the difference between maintaining a position or losing it in boxes. From the point of view of Lewis Hamilton, this Grand Prix represents a key situation. Not only because he runs at home in front of a hobby that idolizes him, but because this may be time to consolidate his adaptation to the car and reintegrate strongly in the fight for the championship. His experience in career management, reading the behavior of the tires and mastery of Silverstone's layout make him a strategic weapon alone. And if the car gives you the right tool, you can execute a surgical career plan, maximizing each stint, each departure return, and every overtaking opportunity. Together, the GP of Great Britain is not simply one more date on the calendar. For Ferrari, it is a validation of its evolution. For Hamilton, it is a statement of intentions. And for the rest of the teams, it is a clear warning. Red is no longer just passion, it is efficiency, consistency, and real threat. If Ferrari manages to turn that potential into a result, this weekend could mark the real turning point of the season. It will not be easy, but for the first time in a long time they have what? And they know. A team that understands its limitations, but also knows how to exploit them in their favor. At this point of the season, what is played is not only a race, but the validation of a whole reconstruction process. Because if Ferrari manages to give to the level that Hamilton anticipates, then a new reading of the championship opens. One in which Ferrari is no longer reacting to his mistakes of the past, but imposing his own rhythm and agenda. And if this is confirmed, the consequences will extend beyond Silverstone. Rival teams must reconfigure their way of competing. McLaren will no longer have such a broad strategic margin. Mercedes will not be able to play only with the regularity of Russell and Antonelli. And Red Bull, which already crosses an internal instability process, must look closely at how a team that seemed to the background began to consolidate as a technical and mentally prepared force. For Hamilton, in addition, this moment has immense symbolic value. Returning to his house dressed in red, backed by a car that responds, with the real opportunity to fight for victory in one of the most demanding paths in the world, is not another chapter. All this makes Silverstone more than a race. It is a scenario loaded with meaning where technique and emotion cross. Where decisions taken in the Maranello factory during the last 6 months can demonstrate their impact in real time. and where each lap will serve as confirmation or contradiction of Hamilton's words.